The past often comes back to bite, and this is more true in today's internet age. The internet really never forgets, but some of us really want to be forgotten. We do not want to be subjects of your discussions or objects of your scrutiny. Sadly, there's a version of you out there, one you don't control, a version built from every search, click, and late night sign up you forgot about. It's been bought, sold, and stored in databases you've never even heard of, and the truth is, it's never going away on its own. In this video, I'm going to show you the most complete and realistic way to disappear from the internet. Not just deleting social media, I'm talking about removing yourself from people's search sites, scrubbing your name from Google, wiping old accounts, and shrinking your digital shadow down to almost nothing. Now, this guide won't help you if you're trying to escape law enforcement after a crime, but if someone has a private investigator to dig up your past, the steps I'm about to show you will make their job extremely difficult. One thing to keep in mind, the more invisible you become online, the more inconvenient some parts of your life will get. But if being untraceable is your goal, that inconvenience is a small price to pay for peace of mind. Let's get to work. Before you can disappear, you need to figure out exactly where you exist. You can't erase what you haven't discovered. Most people only think about their Facebook, Instagram, but your digital presence is often spread across hundreds of hidden places, many of which you forgot, the others you never knew existed. So the first thing you might want to do is Google yourself. Use an incognito or private window so your results aren't influenced by your previous searches or location. You might start by searching with your full name, but then you should also do variations, maybe throw in your middle name or a short form of your name. You want to go through all Google has and take note of any that relates to you. Next, if you remember usernames or handles you have ever used, you should search for them as well. This could be something you use a lot for social media or any other services. Once again, take note of all the places you pop up. Repeat these steps for phone numbers and email addresses. The goal is to get a comprehensive list of places you pop up. I'll recommend you create a small spreadsheet where you keep track of all you find. Now, when you carry out these searches, you may get so much information that it becomes overwhelming. What I do is use the minus modifier to exclude sites you already know of. So if I search Afam Oyimadu, I get a bunch of responses, but I could include minus LinkedIn, minus Instagram, and now those are gone from search results. I might concentrate on what is left. You may search for your name on specific sites as well. So if I type site:/youtube.com Afam Oyimadu, I show up in these places. Now, if I click this, for instance, it's a video of me playing the guitar. Imagine it's an embarrassing video you do not want your future employers to see. At this point, you're beginning to have a healthy amount of information about you that is publicly available. This is just the start. Next, you want to use people search engines. These are the databases used by employers, marketers, stalkers, and unfortunately, doxers. The more common ones are Spokeo, Being Verified, Interlius, PQ, and we also have Fast People Search. These sites often aggregate your information from public records, scraped social media, real estate transactions, and more. Even if you never created an account there, your info might be present. Next, you should check the Wayback machine. It's archive.org. It stores historical snapshots of websites. That includes old versions of your profiles, blogs, or even photos that you thought were deleted. Here, you want to search old blogs or websites you had, your username in the URL of a site, and business pages or freelance portfolios. If it ever existed publicly, chances are it's archived. The next step is to scan for leaks and data breaches. Check if your email, username, or passwords were exposed in past breaches. I love to use Have I Been Pwned. Here, for instance, I might type my email and it shows there have been 4 breaches involving my email. It shows me what services were involved in these breaches as well. Now, this is an important step because leaked info is often reposted or resold on forums, the dark web markets, or open databases. If you're trying to disappear, leaked credentials are a big liability. At this point, you are identifying forgotten accounts and you should already be compiling your deletion checklist. So what I do is create my checklist, which includes the site or service, what shows up, and login information if available. It helps to stay focused and not circle back to the same accounts later. Now we'll get back to deleting whatever information you found, but one of the biggest things that could be used to profile you are your social media accounts. This is where most of your personal information, photos, opinions, and network connections live. Also, they are often the first results when someone Googles you. Now, this might sound obvious, but I should still say it. Deleting the social media app is not the same thing as deleting your account on the social media. You usually need to go deep into the settings and formally delete or deactivate the profile. But before we go into the how, here's what you need to know about what really happens behind the scenes when you delete a social media account. Does the data really get deleted? Well, partially. When you hit delete, most platforms begin a grace period. It could be 14 to 90 days during which you can reactivate. Then they flag your data for deletion from active servers. But copies of your data can still exist on backups, internal logs, or legal compliance systems. These might be retained for months or even years, depending on the platform and its policies. Now, the second question is, can law enforcement still have access to your data? Yes. Platforms may still retain metadata and logs even after deletion. Most major platforms comply with US Stored Communications Act and European GDPR exceptions for legal obligations. This means your old messages, IP logs, or content could still be handed over to the authorities if they present a warrant or legal request. Now, the third question to ask is, can I force them to delete everything? Well, not entirely. GDPR and CCPA give you the right to be forgotten, but it only applies if you're in the EU or California, and it doesn't override legal retention or internal archiving for fraud and abuse detection. Deleting accounts reduces exposure but doesn't eliminate risk. Think of it as closing the front door, not burning down the building. That said, let me walk you through each of the major social media platforms and what happens when you delete your account and what sticks around. We start with Facebook. The deletion period is 30 days. You have this time to undo, and then full deletion comes into full effect after 90 days. However, there is some retained data which includes logs, metadata, and messenger messages. Now, this stored data can be requested by law enforcement, so just know this. Next is Instagram, and it's the same company with Facebook, so you could expect the same policy as Facebook. Then we have X. Here, the deletion time frame is 30 days. The retained data you get here could be IP logs, DMs, especially group messages, and then media files in backups. Now, whatever data is retained, of course, can be requested legally by law enforcement. Now, for Reddit, the deletion grace is 14 days, and then your connections, your messages, your job applications are stored for compliance. Lastly, we have Reddit, and on this one, your username becomes deleted, but posts and comments remain. Here we have what we call a required mutual deletion. So you must delete your post before deleting your accounts. And here your IP logs are retained. I'll be leaving links in the description to the different deletion pages for these social media platforms I've talked about. But as you now know, on social media, nothing is ever truly gone. So if you're trying to throw off digital profiling before vanishing, one conventional tactic is to spam your own account. So you might post random content that doesn't reflect your real personality. You could leave offbeat comments, change your profile picture to someone generated by AI, upload random AI generated videos, and you must do this for a while before deleting your account. It's not bulletproof, but it adds noise to your digital footprint, making it harder for algorithms and people to build an accurate profile of who you really are. So for handling your social media accounts, this is a final checklist. Log into each account manually, download your data if needed, delete or deactivate the account, set your username in quotes to find traces, take note of posts and comments that need manual deletion, bookmark the data retention policy for each platform so that you stay informed, and prepare to file a right to erasure or right to be forgotten requests if you're in the EU or California. Now that your social media presence is fading, it's time to tackle something far more invasive: data brokers. These are companies that collect your personal information, your name, current or past addresses, phone numbers, relatives, property details, employment history, even court records, and then sell that data to advertisers, background checkers, employers, recruiters, and even law enforcement. They scrape public records, social media, voter registrations, and even purchase information from other brokers. So if you've ever Googled your name and found your age, address, and relatives listed on some shady website, yes, that's the work of data brokers. They make it easier for stalkers, scammers, and bad actors to find you. They bypass traditional privacy laws by aggregating public data, and even after you delete your social media, they keep spreading old info that can still show up in Google searches. And to make it worse, law enforcement can and does buy access to these databases instead of going through a warrant. There are two ways to get rid of your information from data brokers. The first way is free, but it's tedious. This is what you need to do. Search for yourself on major data broker sites. You could start with White Pages, Being Verified, SpokeU, My Life, Intellios, or through People Search. Go to each of these sites, opt out or do not sell my info page. Then fill the forms. You might need the exact URL of the information you're trying to get rid of. For example, with White Pages, you visit the suppression request page, input the link where your details are listed, click next, and do some verification and select remove me. White Pages will remove the listing within a few days, but only from their public site, not their paid background checks. Now here's a tip: you should check out privacyrights.org. They maintain a master list of opt-out links for over 200 data brokers. You need to go through them one by one, but it's free. Just prepare to set aside time and maybe a dedicated email address for this process. Now, if you don't have time for this manual process, and you probably don't because there are over 500 data brokers known globally, you can use a paid service to automate it. DeleteMe is the best for most people and costs about $129 per year. If you're a journalist, activist, or a public figure, you should try Privacy Doc. It's the best. It is, however, more pricey than DeleteMe. Now, after all this work is done, remember that data brokers are like weeds, they grow back. Many of them will resurface your data from public records over time. Others release you automatically after a few months. New brokers appear all the time and opt-outs don't transfer between them. So you want to set a reminder every 3 to 6 months to repeat this process, or let your automate service handle the recurring removals. Now that's done, you'd be surprised how many accounts you've created over the years. This may be online stores you've never shopped at again, forums you joined once, old newsletters, or expired apps. These are all part of your digital fingerprint, and many of them are still leaking data behind your back. So let's talk about cleaning up these forgotten pieces. So the first thing is finding the account you don't even remember. You want to use account finding tools like JustDeleteMe. It's a database of services plus direct links to delete instructions. It also tells you how hard deletion is on these different platforms. The next thing you could do is set your email inbox. Now, this is one of the most underrated tricks, but it's effective. Use your email search bar and look for things like welcome to your account, verify your mail, thanks for signing up, password reset. Some of these catchy phrases used when you register for an account. Once you do this, you start seeing sign up confirmations for stuff you completely forgot about. Create a spreadsheet with the account name, login email, and link to deletion page if possible. Now that you found those accounts, here's how to proceed. If deletion is possible, log into the account, go to your settings, usually the security page, and then look for delete or close accounts. Some services require email confirmations or even customer support contact. You should follow the process. Now, keep in mind that not all deletions are instant. Some companies hold your data for 30 to 90 days in case you change your mind. And a few of them will keep anonymized versions for internal metrics. Now, even after deletion, some platforms archive portions of your account in backup servers. That data isn't visible publicly, but it may still exist internally for years. Now, the second case is if deletion isn't possible or intentionally blocked. Here's what you have to do. Change your display name to something fake or meaningless. Use a temporal mail address from email on deck or 10 minutes mail to update your profile. Change your profile image to something generic or just leave it blank. Remove any personally identifiable information from your bio, post, or comments. And finally, log out and forget your login. What remains now is a ghost profile. Okay, moving on. You've cleaned up accounts, killed old profiles, and tackled data brokers, but when someone Googles your name, you're still showing up. Maybe this is from an old forum, an archived article, or an image you thought was long gone. Let's fix that. Now remember, this step is about removing what Google shows the world about you, not the internet itself, just the index Google uses to link people to your digital past. For these, you might use Google's removal tools. The outdated content removal tool works when a page or image no longer exists, but still shows in Google results, or you've recently edited or deleted something, but Google hasn't updated it yet. So go to Google's outdated content removal tool. I'll leave a link in the description below. Select new request and follow the instructions. At a certain point, you have to paste the exact URL to the data you need removed. Google will either remove the cache or update the snippet. Now, if your information is still cached, so for example, your name in the preview, this tool clears it faster than waiting for the bot to reindex. Now, there is a second tool, the personal information removal tool. This one is great for more serious content like doxing, so your home addresses, phone numbers, ID information, bank account numbers, non-consensual images or revenge porn, your full name showing in harmful or defamatory context. This is what it's for. So start the request at Google's personal information removal tool. Once again, I'm dropping the link to this in the comments. Here, Google will first ask, why are you requesting personal content removal from Google search? And you probably will get a few other questions. You will be asked to provide a link and screenshots, and if accepted, Google will delete that URL from search results. Now, have in mind that this doesn't delete the content, it just removes it from search results. The site still holds it unless you contact the webmaster. There is an EU bonus. It's called the right to be forgotten. Under GDPR, EU citizens can formally request that Google or any other search engine de-index links to their names if the content is outdated or irrelevant, or if it causes disproportionate harm, or if it's not in public interest. I'll also be dropping a link to the application form in the description. However, for this, you will need legal ID proof, URLs to what you want removed, and some explanation of why it violates your rights. It's not automatic. Google balances your privacy versus public interest, but it's a powerful legal route for certain cases. By now, you should know some things can't just be deleted. So let's talk about damage control. If you must stay online, you should lock it down. First, you strip it of anything personally identifiable, and then you leave nothing useful behind. So if you're keeping accounts for work, networking, or personal use, make sure privacy settings are maxed out. On Facebook, you may set your account to be visible only to you or to your friends. On Instagram, you want to enable private accounts. On LinkedIn, you can limit profile visibility in search engines via the settings. Now, something else you should do on these accounts is disable contact syncing and data sharing. Now, with these, it's much harder to trace you or profile you online. Yes, you might have cleaned up your digital past. Now it's time to protect your future. And to be fair, this is where most people sleep. They do the cleanup, then go right back to handing out real emails and personal info like it's harmless, but it's not. Here's how you break the cycle. Stop using real details when signing up. Unless it's for legal or banking purposes, you almost never need to use your real name, email, phone number, or address. If you must create accounts or sign up for services, use aliases and maxed data whenever possible. Now, tools like single login and Proton Mail aliases let you create burner emails that forward to your real inbox. If one gets spammed, shut it down with no damage to your identity. Also, you should ditch big search. Search engines like Google profile you heavily, switch to Brave Search or Start Page. Pair it with incognito mode or private browsing as a habit. Also, your IP address gives away your location, so a VPN could come in handy. But I will not trust most VPNs. I'll stick only to Proton VPN, Movad, and iVPN. And for messaging, I'll stick with Signal. Avoid using SMS for anything sensitive ever. You should also use the password manager because every reused password is a weak point. I usually recommend KeePassXC. And lastly, add privacy browser extensions. If you are using any Chromium-based browser, you should use uBlock Origin. These don't make you invisible, but they dramatically reduce what's being collected. To end, I'll say you can't fully erase yourself from the internet, not unless you were never there in the first place. And to be fair, that's too late for most of us. But you can become extremely hard to track, hard to profile, and hard to exploit. That's the real goal here, to own your digital identity again, not let it own you. If this video helped, consider sharing it with someone else who might need it. Most people don't realize how exposed they are until it's too late. And if you want more in-depth guides like this, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Till the next one, stay safe out there.